17 centuries ago, a sage of North China wrote down the story in the Flower Garland Sutra, hoping to teach to his students the mystery of interbeing. Far away in the heavenly abode of the great god Indra, there is a wonderful net that stretches out indefinitely in all directions. In accordance with the extravagant tastes of deities, its maker has hung a single glittering jewel at the net's every node. And since the net itself is infinite in dimension, the jewels are infinite in number. There hang the jewels glittering like stars of the first magnitude, a wonderful sight to behold. If we now arbitrarily select one of these jewels for inspection and look closely at it, we will discover that in its polished surface there are reflected all the other jewels of the net, infinite in number. And not only that, but each of the jewels reflected in this one jewel is also reflecting all the other jewels, so that the process of reflection is infinite. Everything is interconnected. In fact, when we experience anything, we actually experience everything. It's our ignorance of this that insight dispels, and our limited view of the source of life's discontentment. Thich Nhat Hanh speaks of this when he says that in a piece of paper are the clouds and sunshine that provided the conditions which grew the tree which made the paper, as well as all the people who made it and sold it, and those who gave rise to them. As William Blake said, "See the universe in a grain of sand." A metaphor for this is that I can see the reflection of all Indra's jewels in any one jewel I might be observing. A hologram is a similar metaphor. When laser light is shone through a holographic slide of some scene, a three-dimensional image results. But, and this is the point, if laser light is shone through a small broken shard of the original slide, it also will project the full 3D image. Science is increasingly suspecting that the whole universe, as well as the human brain, is holographic. The whole is contained or encoded in the part. The infinite size and 3 dimensions of Indra's net means any part of it contains information about the whole of it. And not only information, every part is intimately connected to every other part. Separation is an illusion. In quantum theory, Bell's non-locality theorem, recently verified experimentally, seems to imply also that spatial separation is not as separate as we think. All particles originating from the Big Bang, called the singularity, have properties which are coupled to a twin particle and which respond in tandem with it instantaneously, no matter how far apart they have moved since their creation in a dimensionless singularity nearly 15 billion years ago. The universe is a net of such interconnections between all particles, moving apart, not really separating, in the expanding universe since that time. A metaphor for this is the web between the jeweled nodes. The twinkling of each jewel arises not from its own nature, but from reflecting the twinkling of every other jewel, and all of them have this twinkling, the defining characteristic of jewels, due to the nature of the clear light reflecting throughout the net. Note, clear light beaming through the net is never seen itself, but only as it affects the jewels. This is a powerful metaphor for the emptiness of independently arising characteristics of selves. Imagine that as the jewels sparkle under the beam of the clear light, They look about and marvel at the miraculous appearance of their neighbours. Such great beauty! Am I as beautiful, they think. But when they look inside, they can't see the sparkling that they observe in their neighbours, and fear that they lack it, and feel uneasy, discontent, vulnerable. This lack spoils any hope they have of contentment, and they are haunted by it. But this is because they mistake the origin of the beauty they think originates in each jewel. They can never locate it in themselves, which is why individual selves can never feel fully authentic. Liberation means liberation from the hopeless task of finding this self-generated realness. Once we begin to see through that self, we can also begin to see through the things that we use to shore up and pretend its authenticity, like my truths or my teachings or my belongings and myself. Our identification begins to move from one jewel to the whole net. But there's more. The idea of everything caused by everything gets us into trouble, because without an uncaused beginning, nothing would arise, dependently or independently. It would all be an illusion, a dream essentially nihilistic, which is certainly not the case. After all, when I am pricked, do I not bleed? Our discontentment comes from being unable to pin down the essence of our being. But Indra's metaphor suggests that we fail because there is no essence to grasp. That's an illusion. The net, reality, appears as it does not because of the jewels, the selves, but because of the clear illuminating light, consciousness. Does this mean then that there is nothing? No. But what there is not what we think it is. What is the light, consciousness, that floods the net of jewels and gives them their characteristic twinkle, which we mistake for substance. Does this mean then that everything is equally significant? No. Within the limited existence of the net, adjacent jewels play a more immediate or important part in our experience than far distant jewels, even though it is all of them, reflecting the same light. Does it mean that all the teachings are equally valid or invalid? No, but they need to be substantiated by logic and observed fact. If we hold them because they shore up our lack, then they are without solid basis, true or not. Prejudice results from wrong facts and illogical reasoning. Compassion results from provable facts and logical reasoning. But if I hold to either just because they are received by me as truths, then I will need to be liberated from them. In Indra's net, the jewels are usually individuals, but it is interesting to consider the net with the jewels being words. Each word depends on the others being used with it. They subtly nuance its meaning, and each is packed with metaphorical textures brought to it by the individual using or hearing it. And none can be defined without recourse to other words. Each person's experience consists of the intricate web of words used to build up our story of any given experience, especially of ourselves. The story we tell ourselves during the process of experiencing, when action-verb is told as event-noun, and the lived experience splits into duality of subject and object. Is this the way of observing how duality enters our experience as a web of concepts built by configurations of words? A good example of non-dual experiencing is music. It is not in time, but it is time, so that one doesn't experience it as a past, present, or future, mediated by mind commentary of subjects or objects. It is the flow of the present.